salary, you're not paying taxes anyway, so there is no tax relief.
Well, the thing is, I think a family of four with an income of $50,000 or more, they don't get a rebate on the cost of the affordable health care. Okay, so for them, it costs whatever it costs. They're not going to get a check for, as Secretary Sebelius said, something like $1,500 to offset the cost. That's very few people. The problem is that we, the people, and many other people do not know everything that there is to know about this health care. Okay? It's a step in the right direction. It needs refining. All the more reason to sit down and discuss it rather than say we're just going to throw the whole thing out the window. Because it's obvious what the Republicans are offering is no solution at all. I don't see any congressman or senator saying that he or she will give up the coverage that they have in order to sign up for...
Oh, wait a second. That's one of the points that the Tea Party people are making. They said, why should the Senate and Congress be excluded from Obamacare? They think if it's for the people, this is one of the things that they're arguing for, by the way.
Yeah, but they're also talking, the Tea Party people also want less government. And you know something? If you're a farmer...
Long Island Railroad, ladies and gentlemen, the pride of Long Island.
That's true. If you were a farmer out in the Midwest and your cattle get sick, who is going to step in and, who's going to say they have hoof and mouth disease, or who is going to say that you have contaminated meat and you can't sell it? You need the government. If the roads buckle under the heat during the summer and the cold during the winter, who's going to come in and pave your roads? Who's going to work on the infrastructure? Okay? The bridges and tunnels that are literally falling apart, and you risk your life every time you ride over or through these things. You need government. You cannot possibly go back to the days with very limited government and say everything should be states' rights. They're not thinking. They're penny wise and pound foolish.
I don't know. I'm not a Republican.
You don't have to be a Republican.
No,
one of our taglines is common sense. This is a common sense approach, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's also common sense, like they said, which we discussed, is why is the Congress exempt from Obamacare? They should be paying for it just like everybody else, and then there'll be more serious negotiations about it. And then you'll see improvements, because they're the ones that will be suffering along with us. So that's what I can't say I agree with. I never thought I would say I agree about anything that the Tea Party said, but I was listening to somebody from the Tea Party being interviewed, and that was the only thing that came out of my mind that I actually agreed on, which I've said before. If we're subject to the Obamacare, everybody should be participating in it, and that's the end of it. There's no exemptions.
Felix, speaking of congressmen, my favorite idiot congressman from Texas, Louis Gohmert, just this past weekend was quoted as saying that it's up to the president and the secretary of the Treasury to make sure that this country doesn't default, and it raises the debt limit. Well, I think it's clearly spelled out in the Constitution to Mr. Gohmert, if he would bother to read it. He claims he carries it with him. That in the three powers, the three branches of government, that it's up to the legislative branch, i.e. our Congress, to raise the debt limit and to make sure that we don't default. Okay? In fact, Gohmert goes so far as to say that if it's not done, it's an impeachable offense. I mean, this is a man who represents a certain section of Texas, ladies and gentlemen, one of our greatest states. I really don't think this man knows what he's talking about. I think he's been drinking from the same pond as Michelle Bachmann and Sarah Palin and Mike Lee and who's that guy from Iowa? Steve King, just to mention a few.
Well, again, I think no matter what idiots they are, or depending how you feel about them, in their heart, they probably all actually think they're doing the right thing. That I believe. I think most of them actually think that, hey, this is what it should be.
Well,
which means that they somehow convince their voting people that they are doing the right thing, and people vote for them. And that's the scary part, that people actually vote these people in with these opinions.
Well, and, these same Tea Party people say, they want their government back. Well, where do you think their government went? I mean, this is the United States of America, okay? Would they like it to go back to the way it was pre-integration, when we had segregation and the Confederate flag flew over many of the state capitals in the South? I wonder. Is that what they're talking about?
Another civil war?
Well, pre-integration, let's say. I mean, you can go post-Civil War. You could go all the way into the 20th century. I mean, look at all the demonstrations in the 40s, 50s, and 60s during the Civil Rights Movement. Okay? You could fight and die for your country if you're black, but you have to drink from a certain water fountain.
Well, those days are mostly gone. And I don't think they're
But those are the days that they're crying for.
No, they're not.
Oh, I believe they are. The one thing that these people hate is the fact that we have a black president.
Well, look, there are people who are black.
I'll go out on a limb for that. I'm a little white man liberal from New York, and I swear that the only thing that these people have against one of the major thing they have against our president is the fact that he's a black man.
Are you telling me there are no black people in the Tea Party?
Very few.
But
there are some.
Yeah.
One of the things that they were called on the carpet about was the fact that when they showed Tea Party rallies, they didn't show any black people. There were a few. Okay. Look, there are many black people that feel that this president is not doing enough for the black race. But the bottom line is he's doing what he can for everybody. He's everyone's president. It's a fine line that he has to walk, okay? And I think he's doing the best that he possibly can. I do think, however, that Congress could be a little more amenable and agreeable to some of the things, such as his Jobs Acts, that he proposed. I mean, let's face it, this is 4 or 5 years into his presidency, and many people are still crying out, where are the jobs? Okay? And every time I see things coming up for a vote, Republicans are always putting stipulations on the Jobs Act, usually going back to either Obamacare or something else that they are unhappy with.
Well, let's face it. The Democrats do the same thing. But you side with it. You side with the Democrats. But, there are a lot of people that side with the Republicans, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever. So, listen, we're all trying to do the best we can, but unfortunately, we all can't be right. And I'm sure the Tea Party people think they're right. Mark thinks he's right. I think I'm right.
Well, I'm just one person. You're just one person. Together,
we make
one person can make many. But I want to remind you at 9:25 that you can reach us at area code 516-665-1860. Somehow I get the feeling that because of the Columbus Day weekend, we probably will not be getting any callers tonight. Okay, but I just want to let all of you know that we do entertain calls, and even if it comes close to the time when we have to sign off, we will give you as much time as possible.
We do sign off at 9:45 because our broadcast limit is 45 minutes, and that's per Spreaker, which is who we broadcast on.
And I think we should let people know, Felix, that if they would like us to be on longer, they have to start phoning in, or at least sending us
an
email so that we have something to talk about. If you're radio shy and you don't want to hear yourself on the radio, by all means, send us an email with a question. We will try to, not that we will try, we will obviously address it the next show. Not saying that we will get it that night.
And what's our email address, Mark?
It's Felix at truckingtoheaven.com.
Or Mark
at
M-A-R-C.
Thank you for that. At truckingtoheaven.com. So
even if you put in Dr. Mark, it'll come to him.
Oh, definitely. One of my many wishes in life.
But anyway, so it's important that we hear from you. Otherwise, you only hear our opinions.
And we know what our opinions are worth.
Our opinions are worth as much as anybody else's.
That's very true.
And you take all of our opinions together, that's when we start having some power. Power to the people. Remember that saying?
Power to the people. Power to the people. Right on. Yep.
So,
we are, at least I am, a child of the 60s, most definitely. Felix is sort of on the cusp of that. He's a little bit younger. But I think from his crib and his rattle, he used to say that, power to the people.
Well, come on, I'm not that, but we're not 3 years apart, Mark.
Is that all?
That's it.
Oh, my goodness.
You look like an old man, that's all.
That's true, but you look so much younger.
Well, thank you. And you look so much bolder.
That's because I am.
Oh, okay. At least I didn't say older.
As we were saying, we're coming down to the end of our show. Okay, the ordinary 30 minutes. I mean, if Felix and I can throw something together for a little bit longer, we'll certainly do that.
I do expect some calls tonight.
And I expect that my hair is growing.
Well, there's a better chance of us getting a call.
That's very true.
But the bottom line is, folks, the Tea Party is whatever they are. The Republicans are what they are. The Independents, the Democrats. Actually, I even like some of. I even like, what's the other party?
One of the taglines for today was sports. Failed to mention that the Jets lost a tough one.
What was the score?
19-6, I believe.
What's their record now? Is it still a perfect record?
They are 3-3.
The Giants. The Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah, you're right.
The Giants, as we said on Friday, which nobody heard, the Giants lost a relatively close one for them, 27-21. But they are still without a victory. They are 1-5. They were 0-6. 0-6, and it looks like this is the season to go nowhere. I'm figuring them going 0-16. If you want to talk about that, the Rangers are a dismal 1-4, I believe. So much was expected from them this year, and they can't seem to get on track. Their defense has fallen apart. Okay, and that's to say the least. The only thing with the Rangers is it's still very early in the season, so anything is possible. And they do have a couple of injuries in Rick Nash. So that remains to be seen.
And what's happening in the playoffs? Baseball.
Well, I have to tell you, this weekend was a good weekend to be living in New England, primarily Boston. Boston was down 7-3, I believe, down to their last out in the bottom of the ninth, and Big Papi came